A poor boy was selling groundnuts on the streets of Owerri. Hours later, he vanished, but when investigators searched a powerful businessman's hotel, they uncovered a secret so horrifying that an entire city went up in flames.
Owerri, the capital of Imo State, looked peaceful that morning. The sun rose gently over dusty roads and noisy markets. Traders shouted prices, buses honked impatiently, and children in faded uniforms hurried to school. To everyone watching, it was just another normal day. But before the sun would set, Owerri would become the center of one of the most terrifying crime stories in Nigerian history. A story that would expose a dark ritual network. A story that would turn ordinary citizens into an angry mob. A story that would burn an entire city in rage. And at the center of it all was a small boy who only wanted to sell groundnuts. His name was Master Anthony Nwankwo. Nobody knew that his death would shake the entire country.
Anthony was only 11 years old. He lived with his poor parents in a modest neighborhood on the outskirts of Owerri. Life was not easy for the family. His father struggled to earn money, and his mother sold small food items to support the home. Anthony understood poverty at a very young age. So, like many children in Nigeria, he helped his parents by hawking small items after school. Most days, he carried a tray filled with roasted groundnuts and sweets. He would walk through busy streets shouting softly, "Groundnuts, buy groundnuts." Some people ignored him, some bought out of pity, but Anthony never complained. Neighbors described him as a quiet boy with bright eyes and a gentle smile. He respected elders, ran errands quickly, and always greeted people politely. Nobody in the neighborhood could imagine that someone would want to harm such a child. But evil does not always announce itself. Sometimes it hides in expensive cars. Sometimes it lives in big houses. And sometimes it waits for the perfect victim.
It was September 1996. Anthony left home that afternoon with his tray of groundnuts. His mother reminded him to return early before nightfall. "Don't stay too long," she warned. He nodded and walked away barefoot along the dusty road. That was the last time his mother saw him alive. Hours passed. Evening came. The sky turned orange, then dark. Children who had gone out to hawk returned home one after another. Mothers called their sons and daughters inside. But Anthony never came back. At first, his mother assumed he had followed friends somewhere. But by nightfall, fear began creeping into her heart. She ran outside calling his name, "Anthony, Anthony!" No answer. Neighbors joined the search. Some checked nearby streets, others searched markets and motor parks. Still, nothing. The night grew colder. Owerri continued its normal activities, unaware that something terrible had already happened. Somewhere in the city, Anthony was already dead. At the time, rumors had been spreading quietly across Nigeria. People whispered about strange disappearances, children, young boys, street hawkers. Some said they had been kidnapped. Others whispered something far more terrifying. They said some wealthy men were using human parts for rituals. But these rumors were never proven. Most people dismissed them as superstitions, until the truth exploded into the open. And when it did, it was worse than anyone imagined. Several days after Anthony Nwankwo disappeared, something horrifying happened. A young man working in a hotel located in Owerri began to notice something strange. The hotel was owned by a wealthy businessman named Chief Victor Okafor, also known by a nickname everyone in the city knew, Otokoto He was famous for his flashy lifestyle, expensive cars, large houses, and connections with powerful people. People admired him, some envied him, but few questioned how he became so rich. Inside his hotel, something terrible was hidden. One afternoon, a hotel worker noticed a suspicious smell coming from a particular area. The odor was strong, rotting, unnatural. Curiosity and fear pushed him to investigate. What he found froze the blood in his veins. Hidden inside the hotel premises was the mutilated body of a child. The body had been butchered. Certain body parts were missing. The face was barely recognizable. But the truth was clear. This was not a simple murder. This was ritual killing. And the victim was Anthony Nwankwo.
The people of Owerri had heard enough. Crowds gathered outside the police station demanding answers, but as hours passed, frustration grew. Many Nigerians had lost trust in the system. They feared the rich and powerful might escape justice. Someone shouted, "They will cover this case." Another voice cried, "We must act ourselves." Then, suddenly, the crowd moved. Thousands of angry residents marched through the streets. Their target? Properties connected to the alleged ritual network, and the first place they headed was Otokoto's hotel. What happened next would become one of the most intense riots in Nigerian history. Buildings would burn, the city would descend into chaos, and shocking secrets about ritual killings would begin to surface. But the biggest revelations were still coming, because the death of Anthony Nwankwo was only the beginning. And in part 2, the investigation would expose a terrifying truth that would shock all of Nigeria. The riots would spread, more suspects would be arrested, confessions would shake the nation, and the name Otokoto would forever become a symbol of horror in Nigerian history.